morning, YouTube world. This is Pete, Late Century Garage. What we're doing today is we're working on the Silverado again. We got some maintenance to do. Something you should do regularly. We are doing intake valve cleaning. So just a little background on these engines. It's direct injected, which means the fuel injector sprays fuel from the cylinder head, not the intake manifold. Back in the day, port fuel injection, the fuel injector would spray into the intake manifold, which would spray fuel directly on your intake valve. It would help keep the intake valve clean. Now that you have the injector spraying really in the same place where the intake valve is, you're not getting that effect anymore. You're not cleaning the intake valve. So you get a lot of carbon buildup, which can cause pre-ignition. You get hot pieces of carbon. That can cause the cylinder to fire before it's supposed to. Detonation, pre-ignition, which can be devastating for your engine. It also causes a not smooth idle, so a little bumpy idle, some drivability problems. It's pretty common, up to misfires depending on how much carbon you get in there. So first step, we're gonna warm up the engine. So I got it running. Just gonna let it warm up, and then once it's warmed up, we'll shut it down. We'll get ready to do the cleaning. This should be a pretty quick video. This is nice and easy. I'm using CRC products. There's a whole bunch of different products on here. This works really well. But yeah, I'm just gonna let it warm up and then we'll get after it. All right, so we got it up to temperature. We're gonna get the hood open, start getting this prep. All right, I'm gonna bring this over so you can see what's going on. All right. So we're under the hood. There's a few different ways you can do this. They do suggest going right to the throttle body and spraying this right in the throttle body. That's what I'm gonna do. So I need to get the intake piping off the throttle body. Wherever you spray this, you got to get it into the intake manifold, and it's got to be downstream from the mass airflow sensor. You don't want to spray this stuff in the mass airflow sensor. The mass airflow sensor is right here. It's in your piping that goes into your intake. Okay. Oh, I just broke that. That's not good. Yippee. I just broke something. We didn't mean to do that. All right, great. So what I broke, I'll show you. I just broke the nipple that goes into my air intake pipe. Yeah, we're gonna have to fix that. Great. Okay, well, don't do that. That's not what you want to do. Great. You do videos and yeah, you break things. Yeah, don't break that. So now I got to figure out what the hell I'm gonna do there. Great. All right, we got to get this thing fired up now. I got the tube off. I'm just going to set it up on top of the throttle body so it doesn't go down to the belt, so I don't break anything else. Shit, this got brittle, huh? Man, that sucks. We'll figure out something for that. So we need to start this thing up. We need to bring it up to 2,000 RPM. Drive-by-wire. You don't have throttle linkage or throttle cable. So there's a few different ways you can do this. If you got two people, have somebody hold the throttle at 2,000 RPM. If you got a fancy scan tool, you can control the RPM with a scan tool. Or in my case, I got neither. So I'll show you what I do. We'll go over to the inside of the truck. Excuse the mess. Let's see if we can see what you're seeing here. We'll do a little adjustment. All right, so this is what I do. Hold on, let's flip this camera around. Nope, that ain't gonna happen. Okay, so what I do is I start the truck, and it's not gonna want to run very well because you're not getting a signal from your mass airflow sensor. I put a pry bar on the accelerator, and it's just move your seat, and now we're exactly 2,000 RPM. All right, so now we just gotta spray this stuff in it. We'll go back over. You're going to take this stuff and you're going to spray it right into the throttle body. You want to do this in short squirts. You don't want to stall the engine. You don't want to put so much in there that you stall the engine. Keep going until you got the can empty. So that's all I'm gonna do. All right, so she ate a whole can. We're just gonna go give it like 3 good wraps around 3,000 RPM, and then we're gonna let it idle for a minute. All right, now we're just gonna let it idle. She runs pretty bad. I think there was a lot of stuff stuck in there. You heard it was actually doing some spark knock too. That's normal. The first time it happened, it drove. I was like wondering what the hell was going on. It wasn't too happy. It's blowing a lot of crap out right now. It's been a while since I've done this. So let it idle for about a minute. And then you let it heat soak for an hour. And she's going to do all kinds of spark knocking. I swear the first time I did this, I thought the engine was going to fall off, destroy itself. But it's normal, especially if you don't do it every once in a while. You should do it like every 10,000 miles. These things get carbon up real bad, especially with different quality of fuels if you're not using high test or something with some detergents in it. But once it cleans itself out, it runs really good. Nice and smooth idle. But you just gotta get over the whole rough run in here. It's cleaning itself out. I'm actually gonna change the oil after this too. Just if anything gets past the rings. I usually do it right before I change the oil. Alright. We're gonna shut it down, we're gonna let it heat soak, and then we'll go for a ride in an hour. In the meantime, I'm gonna find this plastic nipple. I might just have to tape off the hole inside the intake tube and let the breather breathe out in the atmosphere until I can find that. I'm sure AutoZone or something's got something like that. So, but we're gonna shut it down, let it heat soak. All right, so the fix is in. That plastic piece that I broke, I was able to get the plastic little nipple. I mean, these things get brittle. It's all hydrocarbons. I mean, it's going to your PCV valve, so your pulling hydrocarbons in. But the threads are the same as like your pneumatic tools. The little nipple that goes on like your impact gun. I have a bunch of laying around, so I threw that in there. A little piece of hose here into my bigger piece of hose. It's good as new. So before I get the piping back in, I do want to clean this throttle body. It looks nasty, but I think I'm going to drive it first. And then after I go drive it around, just let it chew on what it's chewing on right now. After I go on my drive, I'll pull this back off. I'll clean the throttle body. Because it's kind of nasty. It's a little gross in there. But for now, I can throw this intake tube back on, and it's fixed, I guess. And just using stuff you got laying around. Be amazed at, you know, how standard some of these threads are here. I mean, that thing threaded right in. I put a little bit of Teflon on it to get a good seal so we didn't have an air leak, but it's gonna work just fine. So yeah, we'll get this back on, and then next time you see me. So I don't know if I was recording. I don't think I was, unfortunately, but I'm in the truck. I started up, a little hesitation during acceleration, and I got some spark knock too. That's all common, and that's why I'm kind of taking you around, is you're going to get a little bit of spark knock. This thing's been sitting, heat soaking for an hour. It's been chewing on all that carbon inside the combustion chamber. So now you got to drive it for 10 minutes at highway speed. I'm in a neighborhood, so I'm not actually going to get to highway speed yet. We'll do that here in a couple minutes. But yeah, this is what you want to do. And the purpose of me videotaping right now is just so you know, hey, you're going to get a little bit of spark knock, especially if you haven't done this in a while. It's just that carbon breaking up inside the combustion chamber, off the valves, and it's just chewing it and burning it. And it gets hot, so it ignites the cylinder before top dead center. You're going to get a little spark knock, and yeah, that's about it. Yeah, you got a fire chief. Must be something going on. Alright, so once I get to this light, I'm going to shut this down for now, and I'm going to finish this 10-minute drive at highway speeds. I'll get back to the house, clean the throttle body, change the oil, and that'll be it for this one. Alright, so we got back from our drive. Everything went well. Pipe is good. Now, what I didn't mention is you might get a check engine light. I did not, but since you're running it without a mass airflow sensor, air passing by it, and that intake tube disconnected, there's a good chance that the computer's not going to like that. May throw a code. In our case, that did not happen, but it could happen theoretically. We did get some spark knock out of it, some audible spark knock, but we're good. All I'm going to do now is I'm just going to, oh boy, there goes that. I'm going to clean this throttle body. I'm going to take off my hose repair here. Again, it's just 1/4 inch pipe thread to go inside these K&N filters. So that worked out well. I'm just going to use carb cleaner, spray some carb cleaner, get a rag. Do this with the key off too. You do not want to move this throttle plate with the key on, because the computer won't be happy about that. Be like, why are you moving? You shouldn't be moving. I didn't tell you to move. So it'll throw a code. Actually, this is pretty clean. I thought it was dirtier than that. But just get some carb cleaner in there. Clean up the throttle plate. Clean up the bore. This is not as dirty as I thought it was. But it's always good to do this every once in a while. If you got a fancy scan tool, you want to do a throttle relearn. I don't have that. I just try to clean this as often as possible, and I don't have to worry about doing a relearn, because what happens is the throttle plate gets dirty, so there's not enough air passing by. So the ECM says, hey, there's not enough air, I'm going to stall out. So it opens up the throttle plate a little bit until it gets its idle it desires. And if you let it go too long, it'll open up the throttle plate too much. And then it'll open up the throttle plate too much. You clean it, the computer doesn't know you cleaned it. So now you got a high idle. It's been as bad where I've actually physically had to reprogram an ECM because it had been neglected for so long that it just wasn't happy. So that's how you clean the throttle body. I'm gonna go ahead and change oil in this thing too. I'm not gonna videotape me changing the oil. You know how to change oil, please. There's enough videos out there, I guess, if you don't know how to do it, but I wanted to show you how to clean the intake on these. It's a service you definitely should do. You get charged a lot for a shop to do it. Canada cleaner's what, 25, 30 bucks, something like that. I'll post a link in the comments and where to find it. But that's it, we're all done. We're good for another 10,000 miles and we'll do it again. Everyone get out there, wrench, take care of your stuff, save a little bit of cash, and get some experience, you know. Do stuff yourself, you know, it's not that hard. Take care.